Pain heals. Chicks dig scars. Glory lasts forever.
Sophie Cunningham, the enforcer, steps up to protect her sister this time instead of a teammate. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here. Appreciate all of your support. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Of course, shout out to the 19. Let's dig in. We already know what Sophie Cunningham will do on the court, which hopefully you can see this, but I think they show the other view too, although you can kind of see it there too, that JC Sheldon is the one who actually changes direction and rams her shoulder into Sophie Cunningham. Let's be very clear about that. This play was instigated by JC Sheldon, and that's because this has come out again because of what happened to Sophie Cunningham with Bria Hartley, who should be suspended for the rest of the season and probably for life. I think she even had an incident in the very next game after the Indiana Fever game. You will never convince me that what she did to Sophie Cunningham was not on purpose. I don't care that Sophie Cunningham, who didn't see it, came out and said that it wasn't done on purpose. I know what I saw. I know what this league has been doing. And that's what's so funny is you see, watch JC go to her left. Boom. That is that play. And then Sophie grabs her. I don't think this happens if JC Sheldon does not slam in to Sophie Cunningham. Okay. And there's a point to this. Since it was here, I thought it was worth checking out again, just so we're very clear at what is going on. Watch the step and then to the left. Boom. To the left, plants off with that right foot, lowers her shoulder into Sophie Cunningham, who then grabs her. And what we have here, as you can see, Sophie Cunningham says, some of us were raised by the words, don't bite off more than you can chew. And some of us didn't, or some of us weren't, I guess is actually what it should say. FAFO to someone who says, protect athletes, shut up, biatch. Of course, BITCH. So, what is this in reference to, and why did Sophie Cunningham come out and say this? I appreciate you asking. Let's go take a look at this. This is Lindsay Cunningham, I believe, Sophie Cunningham's sister. After Sophie was injured, comes out and says, WNBA, maybe you should focus less on fining players for commenting on your poor officiating and more about hiring officials that are able to call a consistent game and protect your athletes. Pathetic. Praying for you, Sophie. And then this is some random absolute clown, pathetic little child who would never say this in person because these are cowards on the internet. I embrace everything Mike Tyson said, even if it turns out that did not come from him, about the problem with social media is these people have not gotten punched in the mouth. So she says, protect athletes in quotes, and tells her to shut up and calls her the B word, which of course is ridiculous because that is a very reasonable comment from Lindsay Cunningham. Doesn't even go after anyone, just says, hey, you've got to get your officiating under control. You keep fining Sophie for telling the truth about how bad it is instead of actually fixing the problem. And that is what I think a lot of people have problems with in a lot of sports, because it's the same way. It's the same way in the NBA. It's the same way in the NFL. You can't criticize officials, no matter how clear it is that they are corrupt. And I think probably breaking laws when you have gambling the way that you have it nowadays, to where everyone can bet on everything instantly on their phone. You cannot tell me that human beings are not impacted by that when they have the ability to alter outcomes. And we know in the WNBA, they've been so proud talking about how physical their league is and on and on. And we saw the targeting of Caitlin Clark through her first 2 years. And we saw what Sophie Cunningham did because of that. And for those that didn't see it, people ask about, oh, well, why? Sometimes there were people who were asking, well, why didn't she do anything when it happened with Mabry and Charles? There is a view somewhere. I think I put it in a video at the time where if you see it from the basket the basket side down to where you can see the Fever bench in the in the back when Caitlin Clark got blindsided by that Cal Marina Mabry, uh, Sophie Cunningham jumped off the bench and was charging onto the court when assistant coach stopped her from doing so because of course you can't come on from the bench like that. She would have been tossed out the game, but she was good. Probably a good thing she wasn't on the court. Marina Mabry would have had her season ended quickly by Sophie Cunningham, who can actually do some real damage. So, so now Sophie's out having to protect her sister from absolute morons who say stuff like that for no reason. Again, Lindsay's pointing out the officiating is terrible, but the league is fining Sophie Cunningham for talking about it. I think they fined her like 3 or 4 times this season already. I think, like, if we look here, podcast. This is what this. I'm like, I'm not saying your job is easy, but when it's a simple call right in front of your face multiple times, what are you doing? What are you doing? That's just so inconsistent. Like, that's one thing. If you're on the other team and you're going to be fouling the crap out of me, cool, but let me do it to you. I think players across the league and new fans across the country are like, what is going on with the refs? And I'm like, I don't know. And you find me $500 is not going to do anything. And I think she has a serious point there. And I think that is bringing a lot of questions. This is another example of why the league doesn't want all these new eyeballs on it, because this has been the officiating all of this time. They target certain players, they allow certain players to be targeted, and that is acceptable, except now they have all these basketball fans watching who are saying, well, wait a minute. Why is that player allowed to constantly be dirty and constantly try to hurt other players and get away with it? And why that player gets a technical foul called because they slapped their hand against the base of the basket? Why can Caitlin Clark be abused by every single player who guards her, be clutched, grabbed, kicked, punched, slammed, and nothing is called? But if you get within 10 feet of Asia Wilson or Paige Beckers, you're going to get a foul called on you. And Sophie Cunningham is bringing this attention, the attention of this to people, and the WNBA does not like that. Now, keep in mind something I didn't cover in another video, which is another reason why I wanted to do this in terms of the injury and what happened. This is from before. This is from before the game. This POS, and I also bring this because of the Clark fans, I'll get to that in a minute, protected her tweets like a low-level mongrel that she is. That's why I believe the Hartley roll on Sophie's leg was intentional. It was. It was. I expect that hack player to be off a team next year. She and Kennedy Carter can play in Mexico for a couple of dineros. I think Kennedy is in Saudi Arabia now. But anyway, as you can see here, Bria Hartley, I will take back most of the things I've said about you. If you do something crazy towards Sophie, please use your powers for good here. And there are other tweets like that as well. So she is saying, this is before the game, Bria Hartley, please go hurt Sophie Cunningham. And then, as we know, that is exactly what happened. That is exactly what happened. And to her point, is what we're saying here on this post. If we go there, look, oh, big, brave social media poster. What's going on? What's going on, Sanaya Rivers Hype House? Yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all. These posts are protected. Why? Why are these posts protected? Somebody tell me. Oh my goodness. But yeah, but anyway, shout out to Sophie Cunningham. I appreciate that and doing that for her sister. Hopefully we keep some pressure on and get some changes with this league, because this is ridiculous. I think, hey, players, here's an idea. I'll end with this, and y'all let me know what you think in the comments below, because we haven't heard about it. How about players put some provisions in the CBA that you want in terms of the officiating? How about that? How about maybe certain standards that have to be met? How about more training? How about professional year-round officials? How about, or I mean, obviously not year-round. When I say year-round, what I mean is full-time, basically. Pay the officials, pay the referees enough money. And then, of course, they have to meet standards. How about that? How about not every official that gets to the league gets to stay there and be bad for the next 20 or 30 years? How about every year some of them get replaced at the bottom and you bring in new officials. And you certainly also have to change how games are officiated and call the game according to the rules. That is all that is asked. Be consistent, call it according to the rules. Don't allow all of this nonsense that has been the core of the WNBA for its entire existence in order to hide the fact that the players have no skills. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Appreciate you checking out this video as always. Do me a favor, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. I really do appreciate it. Go check out my entertainment channel as I grow that. I've started doing some videos on my Philly sports channel as well for those of you that are, Philly sports fans, although I'm sure I'll cover like other NFL stuff on there as well. But anyway, go have the day you deserve.